Greetings, Dragon Ball fans, and welcome to part 12 of What If Vegeta Killed Gohan. In the last part, Future Cell was almost casually brushed aside by the post-Buu Saga Akumu. Goku Black then appeared with Zamasu to rain destruction on the future Dragon world. But this world has already seen its share of death and destruction at the hands of those androids all those years ago. They are determined to preserve their hard work, rebuilding from that last Armageddon. The defenders of Earth, and other planets, the Dragons, arrive to stop Black and now Zamasu from continuing their rampage, as their Grand Master Gohan remains unaccounted for. Goku Black and the now regenerated Zamasu arrive at the outskirts of Cap City. There, they are met by that Grand Master and an even larger group of defending dragons, who have all been waiting for them patiently. Black immediately attacks while Zamasu hangs back, recalling that tingling sensation from the Kienzon that tore through his body. To his dismay, Black can't seem to match Gohan at all. He'd thought that boy had been a capable fighter, but this... every punch deflected, every kick dodged, effortlessly. Zamasu can feel his other self's growing frustration. With a single strike from the slightly glowing but calmly black-haired man, Black gets thrown down away from the city again, cratering in the ground. Smiling, he asks Gohan if he is their father, to which Gohan just raises an eyebrow. "Well, the boy's gift to you then," Black says, before crying out. Settling into the bright pink glow, he says that this is the power he remembers. The Super Saiyan, was it? But Gohan seems to be ignoring the man. He's glancing back and forth between the two of them and at his wristband, tapping and swiping occasionally, an almost amused look on his face. Black's attention is pulled away by a shout from Zamasu, who is clutching at his arm. Gohan is holding it, continuing to look back and forth between his wristband and now the hand. "What's this?" Gohan asks, holding Zamasu's hand up to his face. "You dare!" Zamasu cries, trying to pull his arm away from the mortal's unforgiving grip. After struggling for a bit, and desperate to get away from this disgusting mortal, he swipes at his own arm with an energy blade, severing the hand. Gohan watches as the hand boils and bubbles into nothingness, while reforming where it was severed. The time ring then drops unaffected into his waiting hand, and his wristband makes a satisfied chirp. Black glances down at his own time ring, then, clenching his fists, his aura pulses and he launches back into the air towards the pair. Back at Capsule Corp, Bulma and Panch are sitting in the terminals next to the timeship, looking quizzically at the various readouts. Feeling the burst of air as Gohan appears behind her, Bulma says that there's something wrong. Gohan opens his mouth to speak, but Panch beats him to it. "Wrong is not the word for it, Mum." She points at one of the graphs. "Look at that spike!" Gohan clears his throat, and they both pull away from the screen to look at him. Holding out his hand, they see 2 Potara earrings and 2 silver rings. Gohan drops one of the rings on the table and watches as the graph dips slightly. Still holding the other ring, he takes a step back, and the graph dips off more. Another step, another drop. He taps on his wristband a few times, then drops the ring into the open hoi-poi field, and it vanishes from sight. "Whoa," Panch breathes out as the graph flatlines. What are they?" Gohan nods towards the timeship and says he thinks there's some sort of Kai-based time travel. Bulma, of course, is scratching her head. "I thought time travel was kind of frowned on," Bulma says, turning back to the ring on her desk. She puts the ring in a machine of some sort and pushes a few buttons. In an almost quiet voice, Gohan says that the Kai's world is dead. Zamasu and Black, they were gloating about it. He needs to go back and see where Black got the body of his father. Bulma looks at him, incredulous. He wants to go back. Oh, this can't be good. She's about to ask what else has happened when Panch speaks again. There's a problem, Dad," Panch says quietly. Gohan can hear the worry and awe in her voice. She turns from the screen to look at him. "They're gone," she says, holding out a small white box. "There's nothing on the other side." Seeing his confusion, Panch tells him about the box. When Akumu had gone back, he'd taken a matching box with him to give to the other Bulma. It's like an emergency button. If everything goes sideways, they can press it, and we can pop back to help. She then explains her and Bulma's attempts to explain not just the weird readings from the timeship, but the fact that the box connection has died. It's like it's been cut off from its pair. Gohan slumps down into an empty chair. He asks if they can maybe change the date, go back further. Punch then turns around, plugs the box into a terminal, and starts working furiously. They watch as the date stamp ticks backwards through the months and years, slowly approaching the time that Videl had gone to. When the box chimes happily, Punch laughs. That's Chi-Chi's birthday. Did that damned cat not like the sushi over there? Arriving in the sky above Capsule Corp, the time ship descends to the ground, and Gohan, Bulma, and their daughter Chi-Chi step out, looking around for anyone familiar. When they enter the building, Bulma greets her dad, her voice breaking slightly. As Dr. Briefs turns to his daughter's clearly upset voice, his cigarette drops from his mouth. Bulma hugs him tightly, and then he accompanies his wayward future daughter to her present-day offices. She looks older. Older than him, even? He can't tell. An awkward moment later, Chi-Chi and the two Bulmas are excitedly talking about this past Bulma's visible pregnancy. Watching from the side, Gohan is not at all surprised to feel a certain presence appear next to him. "Jet," he says coldly, "where's my dad?" Jet tells Gohan that Goku is currently training with Whis, as they both had been before Jet had decided to stay back for Bulma's pregnancy. "Of course he is," Gohan sighs. "You coming?" Jet is about to say no, but the look on Gohan's face stops him. Instead he just shrugs, as long as he's back quickly. Gohan, a bit reluctantly, touches Jet's shoulder and his forehead. A few moments later he lowers his hand, a worried look on his face. He says that he can't find them. Present-day Bulma smiles and pulls out a small orb. "Oh, Whis, is Goku there?" she asks the ball. While Whis is not at all pleased at being the messenger, yet again, he halts the complaint when he glimpses the much older Gohan and another Bulma? Moments later, Goku pops into existence, flanked by the tall Blue Angel and a rather angry-looking cat. Though this Beerus has never met them, he's not at all happy about the future Gohan and Bulma's presence. Goku must have blurted something out. His tirade is cut short, however, when Gohan drops a small silver ring from his wristband. Beerus looks at it blankly as Whis leans in to look at the ring in Gohan's open palm. "Well now," he starts. "Someone's not playing by their own rules," Gohan finishes the sentence. Dropping the ring back into the hoi-poi field in his wristband, Gohan places the black cube on the table, and an image appears, floating above it. As the image of Goku Black grins outward at them, everyone turns to look at Goku, for a second, then back. Then Zamasu appears next to Black, as Gohan taps and refreezes the image. Gohan explains how they're both him, pointing from Black to Zamasu and back. Not just Kais, the same Kai, in two bodies. His anger at Kais in general had abated over the years, especially after learning about his children's souls, but now renewed. Whis says that he recognizes that one. That's, Zamasu, isn't it? Universe 10's North Kai? Isn't he training to be the Supreme Kai? Seeing the collected faces staring blankly at him, Whis then explains that there are in fact several universes. Taking it at face value, Gohan lays out the last few days. Beerus says to Whis that he doesn't believe it, but there's one way to find out. They gather outside, and Gohan watches as this Jet talks to his Bulma. Then Jet joins them, carrying a bag of food, and they vanish into a column of rainbow light. A few days later, they arrive on the 10th Universe's Supreme Kai's world, and enter the small temple. Gowasu is shocked to see not only Universe 7's God of Destruction, but also 3 mortals. This is all highly irregular. Whis ushers Gohan to sit across from Gowasu, while Jet watches intently as the two old men sit and talk. Jet by now knows why this man hates him, but listening to him retelling the story, he has a good reason to share in the man's anger with the Kais. And yet he is utterly calm, sitting there, describing the destruction he saw on his Earth and on the world of their Kais. He's completely unreadable, behind a wall. Gowasu quietly asks him to stop. There must be some sort of mistake. "A mistake?" Gohan asks, looking at him steadily. He reaches over his wrist, and a small silver ring clatters to the table. Gowasu stares at the thing, expressionless, as Gohan pushes it slowly towards the Kai. "Whis tells me that there should only be one of these," Gohan says, reaching back to his wrist. He fiddles with the band for a moment, and another, identical ring clatters to the table. Gowasu stands up, angered, shocked, almost amused at this. What, is it a prank? He snatches the ring near Gohan and examines it. Then he picks up the closer one, his brow furrowing. This cannot be, he says, turning toward the temple doors. As everyone moves to follow the Kai, Gohan remains seated. I'm not finished, the aging Saiyan says calmly, pulling something else from the wristband. Goasu's shoulders slump as he expects yet another ring to clatter down. Instead, Gohan places a small black cube on the desk, and an image flickers to life above it, frozen in place. That, Gohan says, pointing from the image of his dad over to his actual dad, is my father's body. But that, he points, and the image zooms out, revealing a green-skinned Kai, is the soul that inhabits it. Zamas? Goasu says in surprise. Tapping on his wrist again, the image shifts. There's a brief glimpse of a bedroom, with Bulma's older, disembodied head visible in the lower edge. The screen then flickers to a barren landscape. In the brown, scorched dirt lies a small figure, staring blankly up into the void. The reality of what he is seeing audibly hits Beerus. If Shin is dead, then... The image shifts slightly as that Gohan reaches down, closing Shin's blank eyes. It flickers again and appears above another world, as it's Goku's turn to shift uncomfortably. This smaller but more shattered world grows as the recorder approaches it. The relief on Goku's face is obvious when a battered-looking King Kai crawls out from under a rocky outcrop. They listen as King Kai speaks cautiously with the recorded Gohan. He talks about the body of Goku, along with another, a Kai. They shift again to a cityscape that Goku and Jet recognize as the Cap City they had visited years ago. In the distance they can see the large Capsule Corp buildings dominating the skyline. The image skews slightly and zooms out, showing Gohan and several others floating meditatively. Time skips forward a bit before settling down again as two figures float towards the recorder. It's Goku and that other green-skinned Kai. Goasu sighs, almost breathlessly. As his hand regrows and Black is coming back up to strike, Zamasu chooses to answer. This is Black, he says, gesturing to the dark-robed man rushing up towards them. As the three of them battle, Zamasu talks about how the mortals are disgusting, brutish, uncivilized. They are not worthy of the life the Kais had blessed them with. Hearing this, Goasu shrinks visibly in his seat as the Zero Mortals plan is laid bare. Zamasu gleefully describes disabling each of the destroyers in turn. Gohan remembers feeling that deep rage welling up within himself those few hours ago. He had remembered the time chamber, being trapped there, finally being released, not by any divine hand, but by his beloved Bulma. The Kais had sat back, doing nothing while the world burned. The Kais had sat back and watched as Frieza had rained death and destruction across the 4 galaxies. "How dare you!" the recorded Gohan finally manages to get the words out. Black and Zamasu move away slightly, taken aback by this mortal's rage. It was the same as theirs. As he despises these lowly beings, so they despise him. You come here to cleanse this world of us. Gohan watches himself and feels that rage again, recalling how it focused down to a point, gelling with his words. Why? Because we fought for the scraps that we had? The image shudders and the glowing pink-black plummets back to the ground. You sit there on your tended garden worlds, wanting nothing, needing nothing, suffering nothing, starving for nothing. Again the image distorts slightly, as this time Zamasu is sent flying away. What gives you the right? It is our divine right, Zamasu shouts as he brushes off his restored clothing. You are a plague on the universe, a vile, destructive His words are cut off by a hand wrapping around his throat, crushing with impossible force. At least Shin had the sense to ask for help. Zamasu is thrown through the air and collides first with something soft, then the hard ground. He picks himself up off a bruised Black, his throat healing rapidly. We have no use for your judgment, a voice behind him says. We don't need you. Zamasu is lifted from the ground before being slammed back down into Black, those divine bones in his chest bending and giving way with sickening thuds and pops before knitting back together quickly. Black pushes Zamasu off him and floats up, his hair pulsing brightly, crackling with renewed energy. He lunges at the old master, striking with his keyblade. His strike is cut short by a hand, and Gohan's long black hair flickers as lightning arcs away behind him, tearing up the ground. We have our own gods now, Gohan says, an odd smile on his face. The slight glow fades as his mortal key vanishes, replaced now by a gentle red, In the recording, Black and Zamasu gasp as this mortal's ki shifts from the contained but chaotic to the serene, to the purity of the divine. Oh man, Zamasu's going to be pissed. Their godly power again corrupted and shared with these mortals. Though, given that this is all a recording, no worse for wear, right? Anyway, tune in next time to see what happens on Dragon Ball. What if Vegeta killed Gohan?